All right. So in this next clip, which I'm about to show you in a second, my buddy Z, who I interviewed in episode 42, he shares an extremely interesting perspective on how he handles adversity and shares a really cool story that I think could open up a lot of our eyes to kind of how we handle our struggles day to day. So make sure you check this video out, but also in addition to that, make sure you hear the full episode on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast.
I think hearing you say it and explain it, it sounds a lot easier than I'm sure it was. I'm sure it came with a ton of
Absolutely.
struggles,
Oh
tons of
my God.
adversity. So many things I'm sure have happened to you from, the time you were homeless to being a CEO, entrepreneur, business owner now. Talk to me about at least maybe inside your mind, how you're kind of able to just continue to battle on and push through these struggles.
It goes back to that mindset of that when you were born, it was something put on the inside of you and it's not for you. You remember that every day. You remember that the moment that you decide that you want, if you may give up, that if you let the adversity win, if you let this hard time that you're dealing with temporarily, overbear you or whatever the case may be. I think about how many people that I may be impacting long term that may never get the help that they need because I gave up, that may never get this great service or product that I have because I gave up. Think about how many people you're impacting that you haven't even met yet. But see, because we can't see those people tangibly, because we can't, because they aren't telling us how they relied on us, we don't think about it that way. But I think about it that way. I think about how if I gave up now, I'm hurting this person that I'm supposed to help 2 years from now. You see what I'm saying? I think about it in that type of way, and that type of mindset keeps me going. Now I have a daughter, bro. Now I have, and I work with kids every day that come from poverty. I work with these people that, I work with less fortunate men and women that are in poverty, and those type of being around those type of motivations will motivate you. And if that doesn't, then I don't know what will.
Yeah.
So yeah, bro, I have that type of mindset with it, bro. Like, it's bigger than me. You know what I mean? And I'll give you a tangible example of that. Like, I remember, like I told you, I'm in that community outreach space really tough. And I remember when I was like 18, maybe 19, I was just kind of starting to get back on my feet a little bit, right? And I was like, man, I want to do a backpack drive for the kids, right? I don't know where it came from. I was like, I just want to do it, right? And I did it, man. I raised like maybe $1,000, right? Something like that in this crowdfunding. And I did it in my old neighborhood. I did it in my old neighborhood, kind of like Nipsey. I wanted to get back in my neighborhood, food in my neighborhood where I grew up on the same block. And I did it, man. But I didn't understand the marketing behind it back then. I didn't understand the forefront work you had to put in, not just raising money and buying stuff. Like, you got to actually spread the word and do that work. And I didn't understand that. And so like 4 kids came and I was heartbroken. I'm like, I did all this and, nobody came. And so I was like, but me, I cried my few tears. I sat down and I was down on myself for a minute. And then I picked up those other 96 backpacks I had and I went door to door in the neighborhood and passed them out, right? I went to other places and passed them out, because I wasn't going to let that defeat me. Like I told you, because I knew it was somebody somewhere that needed it, especially coming from where I came from. I knew somebody needed that stuff. And you should have seen the faces on those, the faces on those different parents and those kids' faces. And then I did it the next year. And then maybe, I think maybe 150 kids came. Then we did it again and maybe like 400, right? Then we did it that 4th year, 1,200. 1,200, 1,500. City was packed out, bro. I had the parking lot where we had was a big community center. It was packed. And I had everybody like, oh, this dude is serious. It went from year 1, everybody's looking at me like, oh, that's cute, right? That's cute. You want to do that. And they were making fun of me and laughing at me and all that stuff. But then when I packed out the city, and now we done served over 20,000 people up to this day, all crowdfunded, all money we've raised ourselves, no public funding. People respected me a little more. But think about this, bro. The whole point is, what if I would have quit after year 1? Think about how many kids I would have robbed in year 4 that needed these same resources, these same materials, all these great things that we gave out. Think about how many people I would have robbed. So when that happened to me, that is the mindset I adopted from that point forward, and I've never looked back. And so I think if more people looked at things that way, that is bigger than you, is deeper than you, that your gift is not for you, then maybe they wouldn't be so quick to give up on themselves. Yeah. So
I love that. I'm gonna have to re-listen to this and kind of register that.